Well, Hoosier communities from the shores of Lake Michigan to the banks of the Ohio River say got a bit of an early Christmas gift this week. As we mentioned at the top of the show, Governor Holcomb, the Indiana Economic Development Corporation awarding $500 million to support big projects in 17 Indiana regions representing all 92 counties, part of the READI initiative. The state says the potential payoff down the road could be billions of dollars. And for some insight on that and other hot topics, pleased to be joined by a panel of insiders this week. IndyPolitics.org publisher Abdul-Hakim Shabazz, also Krieg DeVault attorney Deborah Daniels, and Bose Public Affairs Group Principal Roger Harvey. And welcome one and all to the Insiders this week as we do it remotely. But the READI initiative, the READI program, really a big deal, $500 million. Lots of ways we can go on that. I think to simplify things, I would like each of you to give kind of your big takeaway from this. Again, transformational projects in 17 regions touching all 92 Indiana counties, northeast, northwest, southeast, south, north, getting $50 million each. Roger, I'll start with you. What's kind of your big takeaway when you look at this READI program?
Yeah, Gary, great to be with you. Well, I think the biggest thing is just looking at the volume of dollars and the investment that's taking place. And the state is saying, look, this gets you going. I mean, we're going to need to take these state dollars in these communities and leverage them for additional dollars from the private investment. I also think when you look at the locations, you talk about all 92 counties, which is great, but oftentimes there's a feeling that Central Indiana gets the most of everything, and certainly Central Indiana is the driver of the state's economy. But when you look at this and you see the regions you're talking about, the Northeast, the Northwest, Southern Indiana, Southwest, it shows that some of the most significant dollars in this round of READI grants is going to those communities. And I think that's rather significant. Yeah. And I think, quite honestly, it'll play well with elected officials down in those areas that those parts of the state are getting significant dollars.
Yeah, Deborah, your take.
This is not only about transformational projects, but I really think it's transformational for these regions. It's changing the way they do business. It's giving them an incentive to collaborate. When you see Elkhart and South Bend working together, when you see these other communities that in the past, before these grants and the group of regionalism grants that came before them, before this happened, these communities were isolated. Now they can leverage their own resources more broadly, think more regionally. These grants are having exactly the intended effect, and it's going to make such a difference to the economy across the state.
Yeah, Abdul, your take again. These very substantial dollars heading into these regions.
Well, I think what's really transformational about this, Gary, is the fact that you've got areas working together. That when I came here in 2004 in Indiana, these folks wouldn't much talk to each other to solve like a local road project. But now you got people, pulling resources together, working together, which is really going to be transformational, not only for these READI grants, but also say 10, 15, 20, 30 years down the road.
Yeah. Hey, Abdul, also some news late in the week. State revenue report came in showing state with a bigger than anticipated surplus. Is that going to set up some interesting debates on where that money is going to be spent?
Well, when I was there at the news conference this week, and I kind of jokingly told Senator Mishler and Representative Tim Brown, the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, that this is about to be an old hip-hop song called More Money, More Problems, because we didn't have any money. You could always tell everybody no, and that was the end of the discussion. Now Indiana's got a ton of money, about expected $5 billion by the end of 2023. And so now law makes some decisions to make. Do we cut taxes? Do we take care of one-time funding projects? Do we do things like for teacher pay, or do we continue to pay down debt? Because paying down debt is probably the smartest thing Indiana can do with a lot of this cash, because number one, it's a one-time source of money because it's not going to be happening again. And number two, when you pay down debt, you free up money. It's like paying off your credit cards.
Yeah. Hey, also in terms of a debate at the State House, COVID, everything from vaccine mandates, all sorts of things look to be debated, certainly in the coming weeks ahead. Roger, as you look at that, I know you were at the State House this week, and this debate on vaccine mandates, you think could get rather ugly?
I think it has a potential, Gary. Certainly when you look at the numbers around the state, hospitals are stretched thin. I mean, you're hearing stories of nurses sleeping in offices in between shifts, and the healthcare system is strained significantly. And the majority of those folks, the reality is, are unvaccinated that are coming in. And you do have a push at the State House that would, in essence, not allow employers to mandate vaccines. And I think what you're likely going to see is some of the largest employers, well-known companies in the state, CEOs getting together and explaining the importance of why everyone does need to get vaccinated. And so I do think this is an issue that's shaping up. You know, here we are just a few weeks before the start of the session. I think it could end up taking a lot of time, energy, and effort as we head into the beginning of the year, especially if these numbers don't continue to go down.
A little more, less time than we normally have for this, but Deborah, I'll give you the last word on the COVID debate that you see in the session coming up.
Well, I have to say, it seems a little ironic that we as a state are telling the federal government that we don't want to be mandated. We don't want them to mandate that everyone be vaccinated. But isn't that kind of what the General Assembly is trying to do to businesses in the state, and almost come to the point of mandating them not to require vaccines by making the exceptions so broad?
Yeah.
So I hope that there will be a lot of thought given to this, because you saw this week IU Health seeking the help of the National Guard in order to staff its hospitals. I mean, this is a bad situation. As Roger said, it is a pandemic of the unvaccinated pretty much at this point.
Yep. Deborah Daniels, Abdul-Hakim, Shabazz, Roger Harvey, great to have you back on The Insiders. Look forward to having you back again soon as well. Thanks for being with us.